The discourse here is centered around building the legal profession in Africa under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The conference was hosted by the African Bar Association, AFBA, in partnership with the University of South Africa, UNISA. The Vice-Chancellor of UNISA, Professor Puleng Lekambula, advocates for strong institutions in order to address contemporary issues affecting the legal profession in Africa.
It is an opportunity for us to collectively address the importance of transparency in governance, in security, the rule of law, and in shaping Africa's futures. But the question, colleagues, are we creating lawyers or legal practitioners that are committed to advancing Africa's knowledge systems?
We shouldn't come here and make rhetorics and go back home with nothing to write about. A lot has been said about the legal and the intellectual scope, but you permit me look at the political domain, that whatever we will say here, it would only be speeches. If we remain blocked by the barriers called national boundaries, where if we want to leave one African country to a neighboring country, we are subjected to visa conditions which takes us 2 weeks or so.
The Chief Justice of South Africa, Raymond Zondo, cites the role of the judiciary in achieving the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
There is no specific provision provided for the role and place of the courts. The courts, nevertheless, will deal with certain types of disputes.
While we've had many conferences in attempt to realize after, implementation remains an issue, raising doubts about whether these conversations will result in any actual measures or answers. I chatted with some delegates here, and this is what they said.
I think we have a long way to go in that. Our legal education historically has been paneled after European nations, whether it is the common law system, whether it is the civil law system. And the colonial influences are still very much there. So we need to begin to look at our university curriculum and say, look, if we want to train a lawyer, yes, it's important to have a universal knowledge of law in accordance with common law systems and all that. But how do we import into those training systems the essentials that are rudimentary for countries in Africa? How do we make an African lawyer truly African, be able to hold his own with pride?
But right now, I think that with the level of collaboration globally, looking at Europe, looking at America and the rest of them, how they collaborate effectively, Africa has risen, Africa has woken up. This is the time for us to embrace the future of Africa globally and establish this trend. And that is why the African Bar Association is keen into this, so that lawyers who have capacity to have some of these things enforced will put their voices on it.
Throughout the event, prominent figures and key speakers engaged in discussions to advance the goals of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The first day, the conference was rounded off by the presentation from the University of South Africa Choir. From Pretoria, South Africa, Innocent Samos, Channels Television News.